Good evening, good evening. Welcome to another Super Pokemon Convo Live. If you're on the replay, I would encourage you to wait until the end and watch it all. Thank you for joining me this evening. I hope you've had a great day. It's been a good day on my end. It rained, I think, yesterday night, so it's been cool today as opposed to it being really hot, so I'm grateful for that. I'm really looking forward to today's conversation, and I can see that our guest is already here. For anyone who, if this is your first time of joining us, welcome. Super Pokemon Convo is usually an opportunity for us to meet one of our Super Pokemon moms, an ordinary mom who is doing extraordinary things. So once you join, make sure you invite another friend to join us, because it's going to be a fantastic conversation. So Cuckoo. So I'm going to invite her on shortly, but I'm just going to share this to a few people so that we can get some joiners, some people to join us live, and then we can take it from there. So just sharing this on my page. Fantastic. Okay, so I know it's late everywhere, so I would, well, not everywhere. So let me see, how do I invite Adejoke? Add as moderator. No, have they changed this thing? So I'm trying to add. Okay, Adejoke. Okay. Let me know if you can see the invite. If not, you can request to join as a guest. Oh, yay!
Hi,
My luck, sister.
how are you, sis?
Wow, your hair's grown. Good to see you. How are you?
I'm well. How are you too?
Um,
Can you hear me clearly?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, fantastic. So I'm hoping more people join us, but if not, we're already here, so I'm sure we'll have a conversation. So, how's it been? I know it's still afternoon at your end.
Yes, it's
So,
12 noon, so yeah, going
12
on
noon.
what?
Okay.
Yes, going on.
And is this the first Super Pokemon Live we're doing together? I feel like we've done one in the past, or maybe.
Yes, I think we've done one before.
Great. So that means we're going to be seeing some. For anyone who watches that, I can't remember when we did it, but that was ages ago. There'll probably
Hmm.
be some growth, and that's what we like. We like to see growth, isn't it? So, I
Yeah.
did just say a little bit about who you are. Tell us a bit about yourself, as much or as little as you want.
Okay. My name is Adejoke Oyinbo. You can call me Ade because our white counterparts, they call me Adejoke, and I don't want to be taken for a joke.
We don't want that. We don't want that.
So you can call me Ade, and I've come to love the name Ade after all. So please call me Ade. I'm a child of God. I'm a mom. I'm a wife. I'm a professional. I'm a business owner. I'm a super working mom.
Yes. Yes,
Yeah.
you are.
So, um, I'm not sure what exactly you want me to say.
Well, are you married? Did you say that? I don't know. Have you said that? Are you married?
Yeah, I said I'm a
Oh,
mom. Yes, I am. I've been married for 18 years. Just celebrated our 18 years this year.
yay! Fantastic, fantastic. So one of the things we love to do on this call is to um see where women are coming from in terms of their calling, knowing themselves. So do you want to kind of share some of that with us? I mean, I know that you are multifaceted. You used to be a teacher and then you transitioned to become a coach and many other things. You've done many things. So can you kind of walk us through what that journey has been like for you? How did you come to know what your calling was or what your assignment was? And did you face any obstacles on the way? How did you deal with that? Because I'm sure that, there are women here who are going through one thing or the other, or they become mothers and suddenly they don't really know who they are. So walk us through some of your journey of purpose and calling. Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing. Well, I would say I've always had God at my back since I was a kid. Like a lot of the things I used to say as a child, I see them play out in my life. So I started by saying first that I would like to be a teacher, and then I would bring my younger ones together, and then I'll be teaching them. I'll bring out Cane because that's what I was used to. That's the reality back in Nigeria, and then I'll be doing teaching, like children games, and I'm teaching others. And eventually I got to study French. That was not the initial plan, but I fell in love with French. So I studied French as my first and second degree. And then I was like, okay, now that I'm done with my degree, after my first degree, I would like to teach. I've always wanted to teach. And so I went into teaching. And from teaching, I felt like, oh, there's more to me. I'm not just a teacher. I got bored of the classroom, and then I said, okay, I'll pivot into sales. I went into sales. And it was during sales I realized that, oh, I love to work with people. I love to help people achieve their goals because as a sales leader or as a sales manager, you need to be able to motivate your team to hit targets. Sales is not for the faint-hearted. There are days that you hit target. There are days that you are behind your target and you feel very demoralized. So I realized that my job was more beyond just getting the sales target in. I also needed to motivate my team and coach them on how to get things done. So I was like, oh, I think I really prefer to work with people. I want to help people to achieve their potential. And then I started praying to God. Even before I went into sales, when I got tired of teaching, I went back to God and I'm like, God, what would you like me to do? And God told me what to do. However, it wasn't sales, but it was the first thing that came to me after that. And if there's anything I've learned in my walk with God is that sometimes He gives you a destination, but He
Mm,
doesn't give you a picture of how you will get there. And so your ability to just embrace what you have right in front of you and make the best of it would definitely help you get to where you're going, because sometimes we're like, oh, this is what God told me, but what I have right in front of me is not what God is saying. So
mm,
when God told me what to move, the job to transition into, I couldn't get in there because I didn't have what it took, or the qualifications, the experience. I didn't have that. And the first thing that came to me was sales. So I went into sales, and from sales I saw how I could pivot into what the Lord had called me to do. And so from there I went into sales. I still do teach French on the side. So I still do my teaching job, which I've always wanted to do as a kid. And I still do coaching. So what I'm now doing is that instead of just teaching people, I am doing coaching. I'm a French coach. I don't just teach. I'm different from all under instructors because I will set goals with you. I'll motivate you. I'll help you plan and all of that. And then I'm also transitioning out of sales because right now, I believe I'm at the point where God wants me to step into what He has called me to, which is helping people become self leaders and discover themselves, maximize potential. And I'm back in school studying psychology. So I'm a psychologist in training, and I believe that that will give me the opportunity to walk into the purpose God has called me.
mm.
To summarize, I think having a relationship with God is a game changer. Having a relationship with God and being able to take risk, ability to just say, okay, God, this is what I think you're leading me to do, and I would go for it. And sometimes it's also being a good steward, which is something I'm learning. Sometimes what God is calling you to is not right here. If you're not stewarding what you currently have,
Yeah.
you might not be ready for the next season. So being a good steward of what you currently have. And I can see how being a teacher, going into sales, working with people, being a coach, I can see how all of that is helping me become the woman He wants me to be. I hope that answers.
Yeah, it does. And you've kind of summarized it then nicely. And welcome to those who are just joining us. Please feel free to share this Super Mom Convo with another mom. This is a woman you want to learn from. So it'll be good to have more people on. Um, so I love what you said about, starting that journey of purpose with God, starting with God, but also the fact that sometimes God is calling you to an area where you might not necessarily have everything you need per se, but it's looking at what is in your hands, right? What is in my hand, and then using that, and that is likely going to open the door to the next phase of what God is calling you to. So it's really good to hear that. So thank you for sharing that.
Mm.
I can see people complimenting you in the chat. Amazing. So tell us a bit more. I mean, you've been part of the Super Work Mom community for you can tell us how many years. You're one of us, one of our directors. So kind of share some of that journey and how being a part of Super Working Mom, doing some of um the signature program, the masterminds, and anything else you've done, how has that really helped in on this journey of purpose, on this journey of clarity, on this journey of harmony, trying to, be a mom, be a wife, be this teacher, coach, and all of these things. Kind of share. I would like you to share some of that with us. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much. I came across the Super Okay Mom in 2017 on Facebook. I just saw it's the I think you had your that was when you wrote the book Super Okay Mom. I saw it and I saw your name allotted and I'm like, oh, what's this about? I downloaded the ebook and I'm okay, this sounds interesting and like I wanted to join. And I remember that at that time I was still a teacher and I was a broke teacher. And I was like, okay, this is based in the UK. How am I going to be able to afford this? And I reached out to Data and she was like, okay, we could do something for you. And I think I came in on a scholarship first and then and that was how I stayed plugged in. So one of the things I was looking for at that time was it was the time I was transitioning from teaching into something else. I wasn't even sure it was going to be sales at that time.
Mm.
And I was just looking for more. I knew there was more to me. I knew that I wasn't just meant for the classroom. So I started searching and God led me to Super Working Mom Online. And since then, I've stayed plugged in, despite the fact that I've moved countries for a while, and that has not made me very active in the community, but I'm still plugged in. One of the things I learned in the Super Working Mom, coming in first was doing the signature programs. Uh, Tolu wants a scholarship. Too late. You're going to be giving
Yeah,
other people scholarship.
we know that
No, she will be ordering. You'll be giving people a scholarship.
exactly. If you want giving people scholarship at this rate.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
So I started with the signature program, especially with Map Your Life Purpose, Maximizing Time, the Growth Series. And I'm like, whoa, there's a lot. I think mapping your life purpose. And for me personally, because I know God has called me to a lot of things, I struggle with knowing what to focus on part time. So it feels like I'm doing everything, I'm
Mm.
everywhere. It doesn't even make sense. When they say jack of all trades. And I'm like, okay, God, what is this? But coming into Super Working Mom and taking the signature program helped me refine my purpose, opened my eyes to a lot of things. In fact, the things I learned then that I didn't take serious, along the line, I went back to them and I started taking them serious. And one of the things a lot of people in my community would say is that how do you juggle all the things you do? You're a mom, you're a wife, you have a business, you have a job, you're in school, you're a minister at church, you have your own ministry. How do you do all of that? Is maximize time if you ask me, because the things I've learned there, they're stuck with me. I go back to them, and even being a certified facilitator for the signature programs has also helped me. We just concluded 2 months ago the maximize time, and it was such a good refresher for me because it seems like I've started slacking in some areas. So going back to that, doing the signature program, doing the growth series, and then doing the digital transformation program as well. The DTP program was very helpful. And that was when I started teaching online. A lot of people today, they ask me, oh, reviews from my students will say, oh, you're a very good online teacher. We've not seen teachers like this. I started in 2017, even before COVID struck. And so it has helped me, build that confidence, learn a lot, and I'm super grateful. Then talk about the 90 days accountability. I think I've done about three, and in those three, I've had goals that I know I have procrastinated for years on, and in 90 days, they came to life. So the community has been a blessing, and Detola is a huge blessing to me because Detola, if there's so many things I've learned about her, like or learned from her, I mean, giving to others, just being your authentic self. I remember the first meeting I had, like live session we had when I joined Super Working Mom. She had issues with her computer and everything was just going haywire. And she was like, well, it's just computer. And Don't worry, I'll be fine. Ladies, just bear with me. She was so calm about it. The me then that always wanted everything to be perfect was like, why is she not furious? Why is she not anxious that this thing is not going as planned? But I saw her calmly
Oh,
manage the situation. I'm like, this is what you call being yourself and taking control of things even when they don't go your way. And so there's a lot that I've learned from her. There's a lot I'm learning from her. She's a giver. She gives. Like even for me, for the things that I currently do. I always offer scholarships because I came in through scholarship and I know how that has changed my life. So there's no program that I do that I don't give scholarship. In fact, I'm also looking for ways to do more because um, Disela doesn't know that I stalk her. When she's doing things, I'm like, okay, this my coach is doing this. But how can I replicate what she's doing in my own world? Because
oh my God.
you're such an amazing person,
Oh,
and beyond being in the community, I've met amazing women. I can see Prophetess Emiola here. Emilola, I've seen my OAP Tolu.
they're
Uh,
already seeing you in the chat.
is it Olufolake? Is it Emily? Is it Jale? Is it Queen Esther? Friendships I've made. Like if there's anything that will bring me back to the UK is you guys, and
Oh,
I talk about it every day. I told my husband, I'm like, all these retreats they are doing, I shouldn't be at home by this time because I would have gone.
yeah.
I don't know what I'm doing at home. And I'm telling my friends in Canada, let's do retreats, but we can't do retreat because we are like 6 hours flight apart from each other. I said, I just need to get Stalkers Club. Yes. I just need to get my ticket and go back to the UK and even just spend time with you guys. And every time I see you guys posting, having one retreat or one get together,
Oh,
you guys are not nice, but I miss you
come
all.
to come to Portugal. Just fly to Portugal. We'd
I
love to.
should. I should. That
We,
shouldn't be a big deal.
we,
Okay. Mhm.
we meet in the, oh wow. When you were talking about Cordita, I was like, is she with us in the room? Because I cannot remember that incident, but I'm sure from me that I know back then, I'm sure I was panicking. But I was like, just hold it together, keep it. But I'm glad that my panic did not show. So thank God for that. But yeah, I mean, you're right. The community speaks for itself. The amazing women, and it's all glory to God and kudos to all the amazing women that we attract. We attract
Mhm.
great women into the community. I can't remember who else saying to the. I was saying this to someone. I can't remember who that. Super Hockey Mom is the type of community Super Hockey Mom is one where when you come in, you either plug into the generosity and the love and the vibe, or you fall out because it
Yeah,
can plug
absolutely.
in and you're like,
Hmm.
these people are a bit, or you're like, yeah, let's go. You dive in and just plug into all the goodness that comes with it. So thank you for sharing. So yeah, you mentioned about the 90-day accountability. Another one is starting in September. So I'll put a plug in now for anyone who has goals they want to achieve before the end of 2026. You want to be on that. And we'll put up the links and all of that after the live session. So you mentioned something briefly that you've traveled. So before you came to the UK, I mean now you're in Canada, and before then you were in the UK. Before then I think you were in Cameroon, and then
Togo.
oh sorry Togo. I keep mixing it up. Togo, and then Nigeria, right? So I'm like, tell us a bit about that because there's probably a woman out there who feels I don't know how to explain it. Like, is there a name for for people who move? There's probably a name.
They're nomads.
I was going to say itinerary minister, or what they call those
Don't
ministers
prophesy yet.
that move from country to country.
We still need to settle in. We're
Yeah.
not yet settled.
So tell us a bit about your moving journey, because the, I mean, I've lived in a few countries myself, but it was usually so when I did uni in Botswana, I moved back to Nigeria, and I'm now in the UK, and in my mind, I'm like, yeah, this is it. So when I hear people say, "Oh, we're moving, I'm moving," I'm like, "Wow! Like, how do you just up and move?" So walk us through some of that process. What has that been like for you?
Oh wow, that's been a blessing and very challenging.
Mm,
For some reason, I became a bit more active on LinkedIn, and the only thing I can talk about is transition because it feels
mm,
like I've been in transition for the better part of the last 6 years. So when I was in Nigeria, so backstory, I've never wanted to live in Nigeria.
Mm.
I remember as a year one student studying French, I tried getting admission in Canada and I got admission in McMaster, but I couldn't afford it. So I lost it. In year three, I did something similar. I got another admission and then there was no proof of fund.
Mm.
I even had money to, because I was on scholarship, but I didn't even have proof of fund to apply for visa. I lost it. So I was like, okay, God. And then in year four, I finished and I'm like, okay, I need to travel. I finished with the first class. I can get a scholarship. I can, work my way through. And I tried everything. At that time, I was just trying to move to France because I studied French. And 4 times I was denied visa.
Mm.
In
Wow.
fact, the fourth time they called me and they were like, why do you keep applying? We want to see your face.
Oh
And
my God.
I was going for studies. Like I got all my money. I was ready to go if because schools in France are cheap. If you're going to
Mm.
the public university, they're not too expensive. And but it's just the ticket and you're, taking care of yourself. And then I went and they were like, I just want to study. That's all. I want to do my master's abroad. That's it. And they said, okay, well, we would ask if the school has not resumed yet, and then if they have, then we would have to, postpone your visa or something. And then they kept my passport for 4 months.
Ah, wow.
And then December 31st, 2018 or 17, and they told me to come and pick up my passport. And I picked it up and I was denied. I'm like, okay, God, I'm done. I'm not trying to go abroad again. I think you don't want me to go abroad, but I just knew within me that I wasn't supposed to be in Nigeria. But
Mm.
everything I tried didn't work out. And in 2019, which 2018, I pivoted out of teaching. I got a sales job. I was doing teaching part time online, just to make ends meet. And one of my friends called me and said, "Oh, there's a company looking for a French speaker for
Mm.
sales. I know you don't have experience, but da 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 da. I know you can do the job." So I went for the interview. The In fact, I submitted my CV and the HR said, "You don't have what it takes. You're a teacher. You're not a salesperson." So I left it and I went to my friend. I'm like, "Guy, this is what your HR said. I think it's not going to work." And then 2 weeks into that, where I was currently working as a part-time sales rep for French, because they sold French books, he said, "Oh, there's an opportunity in Kenya.
Mm.
I want you to go to Kenya." I'm like, "Okay, Kenya." Okay, so I started packing my bags for Kenya, and then the guy took my CV and sent it to the HR, and then we had the first interview, and then we had the second interview, and then they said they were going to give me the role. I was like, okay, I don't believe you guys until I get the offer, right? And so I went to Kenya. It was while I was in Kenya, I was called, and they were like, they've been trying to reach me. What's going on? I said, I'm in Kenya, and they said, oh, we are offering you the role. I'm like, okay, but I have to give my current employer 1 week, 1 month notice. I'm like, we're going to pay your current employer off. You have to resume in.
Oh,
You're resuming in Kenya. I'm like, I'm in Kenya. Can I just resume immediately?
wow.
And that was how, I went, gave back to Nigeria. I gave my employer, I gave him 1 month notice. They said they were going to pay him, so I told him we'll pay him. Then I found him someone immediately that could replace me, because I know that I didn't want to disrupt the
Yeah.
job, because he already had another plan to go to Ghana at
Mm.
that time. So 2 weeks, I was back in Kenya, resuming into my new job, and
Wow.
that was how my sales career began fully, because I was supposed to be managing West Africa Francophone, all the French speaking countries in West Africa.
Mm.
And that's how I started traveling. I'll travel 15 days in a month. I'm always in the air. I'm always going left and right. And before we know it, I, to the glory of God, I was doing well. I got promoted. I started covering West and Central Africa Francophone. It was really good, doing well. And at that time, I was managing 11 countries. So that means I was shuttling between all 11 countries at that time.
Oh.
I could speak my French. I was like, hey, I
Someone
said, God, now you're talking. You're
who denied
compensating me.
visa. Now you're
And I said, God, now you're talking. You're compensating me for those visas that I've
exactly.
been denied of.
Wow.
And that was how he went on. And every time I spoke to my husband about traveling abroad, because he has a business in Nigeria, he said he's not interested. He loves Nigeria.
Yeah.
Okay. And I was happy because I was traveling. I just wanted to travel. Yeah,
Yeah.
so I was happy. Then fast forward to COVID. COVID happened. One of the businesses that I was managing in Togo collapsed, and they needed to do an acquisition. I left the project, and my boss recommended me to take on the role, and that was how I was moved to Togo.
Mm.
to lead the business. So I moved to Togo, and then that was the first time I was myself and my husband were living apart since we got married, and my husband could not withstand that. So he said, "Okay, I
Couple.
did." I At that time I didn't know what the plan was because I felt like, okay, me, I'm in Togo. Every month I'll shuttle. Sometimes I'll go by flights because it's 1 hour flight. Sometimes I'll go by road. It's 6 hours by road. So we're just shuttling and all of that, doing all of that. And then my husband said, "Oh, I want to go to the UK." I'm like, "What are you going to do in the UK?" He said, "I'm going to study that." He wants to pivot from accounting. I'm like, "Oh, I've always wanted you to do something different anyway. Okay, so that's good. Go. We will come to visit you. Myself and our daughter will come to visit you." And like, he said,
Like
"Oh,
that.
that's not." He said, "No problem." So that's how he applied. He applied all by himself. We were not part of the application. We're not in the picture. And then everything went on smoothly. He got in and he went and he was like, I remember going to Nigeria and helping him to pack. We saw him off to the airport, and we traveled back to Togo, and everything was fine. First week, I said, I cannot stay in this country alone. I like, what do you mean by that? You have to stay alone. You see,
Mm.
you know. And 2 weeks, he said, "Go and resign." I'm like, I'm not resigning because already at that time, I was 6 months into my new role.
Mm.
The target that we set for 6 months, we achieved in 3 months.
Wow.
And I was already working through another promotion because
Mm.
the business was already talking to me about another promotion. And my husband was like, "You have to resign." I'm like, "No, I'm not resigning. This one, this is the height of my career. I'm not going anywhere."
Oh wow.
So I went back to God and I started praying. Yeah, I was very unsettled in my spirit. I
Mm.
prayed, prayed, I prayed. And for the first time, that was the first time God spoke French to me. And God
Ooh.
told me, Togo is an escale. I will never forget. Escale is a stopover.
Right.
And I heard it clearly. And I'm
Wow.
like, escale? I almost fainted.
So-
So
sorry. Sorry. I'm sure when you said that, if you spoke French back to God, I'm like, what?
even I just
What
see,
do you mean?
you know. So
Oh my gosh.
I was like, okay, I can't even resign because we've not even applied. We didn't apply with you. So what if they don't give us? So I was like, okay, maybe I didn't hear God. Let me just listen. So we went to apply. It was as if there was a speed to the application. I don't understand. In less than 3 weeks, our visas were ready, myself and my
Wow.
daughter. And my husband said, now that your visa is ready,
Can
can
you?
you go and resign? So,
Well, you can speak Yoruba now, Emilola. She said, God will speak to you in Yoruba, Emilola.
so I now called my boss. I'm like, da 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 da. My boss said, "You're going nowhere because you started this business. You have to." The CEO called me. Okay, what can we do? I'm like, okay, family first.
Mm.
Because I already heard God clearly. God was not
Yeah.
moving. He said
Mm.
it's a stopover. So I had
Escape.
to just move.
Have
You're a
you-
good student. So I just told them that I needed to go, but I'm happy to support the transition process and I needed to leave immediately. So I gave my
Mm.
1 month notice, but I was still working even when I arrived to the UK.
Wow.
So I
Yeah.
worked for like 3 months until they got someone for a replacement and I helped the person, onboarded the person, and that was it. And then when in UK, I was enjoying my life. Finally, I met the super lucky mom. I met every one of you for the first time. I was excited. Always had somewhere to run to, especially when there is retreat or there's an event. I'll just pack my bags from home. I'm gone. I was excited because I don't like being in one place. I like to explore. I like to travel. And then we got into UK. I'm like, okay, what next, God? What next, God? I'm like, okay, we're here. I know if God wants us to stay, we're on student visa. He would
Mm.
provide the long-term visa. And then one of my students that I taught French in Alliance Française while I was working in Lagos had the Canadian PR, and she was like, "Mrs. Oyinbo, you have to do this thing." I'm like, I'm not interested in Canada. Everybody's going to Canada. I was in Canada. I
Mm.
beg here. And then she was like, well, that's your problem. I'm going to pay for your West, and then if you like, don't do the exam.
Oh
In
wow.
fact, you will do the exam. If they give you, don't go. I thought she was joking. So she invited me to her house to spend the weekend. I didn't know she planned for me. So I got into her. I hope I'm not telling too much story because the story is long.
So I hope our audience is enjoying the story, and I'm already seeing some dots. So please continue. Yeah.
So she brought me to her house and we started talking and she was like, okay, now we're applying for this thing. I'm paying for it. If you like, read for the exam. If you like, don't read for the exam. That's your That's your cup of tea. So she paid. So I didn't have a choice. Then I went to God. I'm like, God, are you talking about Canada? There was no response.
Mm.
I was like, okay, I'll just follow the vibes. So I did. We put in our application. In 3 months, bam, we were called to apply for the PR. I'm like,
Wow.
ooh. So we put in the application, everything. I'm catching prayer points. Everything went smoothly, only for us to get to the point where they're supposed to approve or reject, and they refused to appear.
Mm.
And I'm like, God, why did we have to go all the way to this point and it
Mm.
got, rejected? Blah 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 blah. So I was not happy. And at that time we had just 2 months left on our visa in the UK. And we're like, okay, should we do postgraduate or should we just go to
Yeah.
Canada? We weren't sure what to do. And I'm like, God, what do you want us to do? I was very, very unhappy. I was disappointed. I felt like, God, what are you saying? And it was still dead silence. I wasn't even sure if it was God's will. Then I went back and I was talking to a friend and he said, why don't you appeal? Okay, we could appeal. So we appealed. And then the following day, God said, try again.
Mm.
I'm like, try again. Okay. So we put all the reason for the rejection. We went through the letters. We didn't even use any immigration lawyer to show you how I was not so sure if it was
Mm.
God's.
Yeah.
So we just did what we felt was the right thing to do.
Mm.
And there was a delay from Unilag because I needed some documents from Unilag as well, but took like 3 months. So eventually we put it in. In 3 days, we got invitation to apply.
Wow.
People have been in the pool for 2 years. In
Mm.
3 days, we got invitation to apply. I'm like,
When God is involved.
we did it. And at that time, we had extended our visas in the UK and we were broke.
Wow.
So, and we needed to submit our application in 60 days. We're like, God, how is it going? Because it doesn't make sense how this would happen. And we started talking to people. I spoke to my manager, my husband spoke to his friends. On the 59th day to the 60th day, we were supposed to submit. Everything fell through. And we put it in. And in 3 months, our PR was approved.
Whoa. PR
And
like, oh, like how many years? Abby? 2 years. Wow.
it was approved. And I heard God say, pack your bag and leave the UK.
Like, what's this cat and mouse game? First, you are radio silence. Now you're like, move. It's like,
And we're just 6 months into our 2 years visa in the UK.
oh,
It wasn't
wow.
even up to 6 months. In fact, I had lost my job in the process. I had just got a job. I was just 3 months into my new role. And everything I heard is pack your bag and leave.
Hmm.
My heart sank, to be honest, because I was just settling in the UK. I had
Mm.
just gotten a job that would make our lives comfortable.
Mm.
God is saying, pack your bag. So initially, I was excited because that company has a branch in Ghana. And I was like, okay, maybe they will move me, blah, 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 blah. So I called my manager. I spoke to my manager, like, no, 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 we're going to terminate you because you're even still under probation. There's no.
Mm.
I'm like, God, did you hear? God said, what's my business? Just pack your bag and leave. And at that point, my husband was not even in the UK, he was in Nigeria. It
Mm.
was okay. So I said, okay, whatever we need to do, this is what he's telling us to do. And we got it approved in May. By July, we were out of the UK.
Wow.
And at that time, we were leaving. We left the UK with £300.
Mm.
And so we got into Canada. And we're like, God, what are we going to do with £300 with a child, with
Mm.
everything we needed? And God said, don't look at your bank account,
Wow.
just be spending.
That's
And
what.
before, just be spending. I'm telling you. I'm telling you. And when we came in, we rented a shortlet for 2 months. But the day we landed, it was like I didn't like the place at all. So that week, I started looking for a house. By that week, I got a job.
Mm.
That was such a relief.
Got into Canada.
3 days I landed, I got a job.
Whoa.
So, but it was a customer service job. It wasn't my sales job.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, this one is sorted. Now we need a house. And then the following week, we got a house. So money to now pay for the house was the challenge. I was like, God, what are you doing? God, what are you doing? How are we going? For some reason, my husband's business, he did some deals in Nigeria, and before we knew it, the money we needed to get the house was made available. We paid for the house.
Mm,
And so we stayed 1 month where we were, and then we moved.
mm.
By the third week, I got another job.
Wow.
And that job was going to pay me double what I saw before. So, and I was supposed to resume the same day to the both jobs. So I was like, okay, I'm taking the second job. So I those ones, they were already sending the equipment like laptops. I just told them, please don't bother. I'm not taking this job anymore. And then we're here. So I said all of those stories
I'm
because one thing is clear on this journey. There's no way you can handle transition without God.
telling you.
Because transition will break you, it will
Yeah.
remold you, it will shake you, you'll be excited, you will cry, you'll be
Right.
depressed.
Yeah.
And I also thank God that I had people around me. Detola, you are one of them that, I remember that sometimes I'll just call you and just, share some of those things with you. We would have a chat. I have people like that that I would just call and say, this is what I'm going through. And in all of it, being able to hear God for yourself. Because I would say that I wouldn't say that all of those times I thought I heard God. I doubted it. And I said, God, are you really speaking to me? And one day someone said something, said, the will of God took Jesus to the cross.
Mm.
We always feel that when God tells us to do something,
Like,
it will end up well.
yeah.
It didn't end up well for Jesus. It
Mm.
didn't end up well for Mary.
Mm.
Mary
Right.
carried the pregnancy. She was called an harlot till she died.
Mm.
Even and the baby that they were calling her an harlot for was killed. So
Mm.
why do we always think that there's a prototype or there's a ending template for the will of God? That the will of God doesn't necessarily. So the way Bill Johnson will put it, favor in heaven does not translate as favor on earth.
Mm.
So God is working with us, we don't understand what he's doing.
Yeah.
So in one of these things, I've seen that I thought I was strong. There was a time like I would just break down and be crying. I'm like, God forbid that I am
Mm.
depressed. And I'll just run back to God. I'm like, God, I don't understand what you're doing, but I trust you in the process. And there were times that myself and my husband were like, there's nothing we want to do, there's no way out of this. And
Mm.
God will just show up.
Mm.
I have seen him show up because he would provide for a vision that he has set.
Yeah.
It's when it is not his vision, he might even look at you, but he will still have mercy on you, even if
Mm.
you're not on the right path. And so we're here in Canada. I don't know if we're moving tomorrow, but we're here now.
Life of a moving something. Wow. As in, I'm like, because sometimes when you hear other people's stories, you're like, wow, God, I don't know what you're doing with those people, but man, that seems a lot. Because like you said, you're settled, and next thing you're being uprooted, and then it's such a roller coaster, and that's why one needs to hear. Someone put in the comments, hearing from God is vital. Because if you say, let me copy this person's templates, and you're going on, you're going to be in big trouble. You are going to be in big trouble. So, hearing from God is so, so, so important. Wow. Like, it still sounds very adventurous, just hearing the journey, the story, and the fact that you and your husband are in this together, right?
Mm,
And
yeah,
it's,
that really helped us
yeah.
really because initially when I got married, I remember, and I met Coach Soyin from Super Hockey Mom as well. Coach Soyin was such a she's a very amazing person. I remember one of the times I was like, my husband doesn't pray like I pray. He's not doing the things that I'm doing. And Coach Soyin said, God has just put on a light, turn on one bulb in an
Mm,
aspect of your life, and you want to blow the entire room. Why don't you just pray him in?
mm,
And eventually, I started praying him in because sometimes at that time I felt like, oh, I was more spiritual than my husband. My husband needs to come pull his weight. I'm like, and God is like, focus on yourself, madam.
yeah.
Eventually, this guy will get there. So
Mm, amazing. And that's an encouragement for, any woman who's listening here, or maybe the replay who thinks, like you said, and I know that's a whole different conversation about how God just, you know, transformed your husband in that way. But I guess the point is we need to focus on ourselves. Sometimes we're easy to say, oh, my husband is not this, DDD. Focus on yourself and he's God's child. God will sort him out. So yeah, thanks for sharing. Wow. If you have any questions, it's lovely. The chat is really is buzzing. Any questions, anything you want to share or ask Adejoke, please do. Please do. Right. So we've spoken briefly about the retreats, how you
Mm.
and again we
Oh, the retreats. You guys, you went, was it Spain you guys went to last year? I'm still
went
beefing you
to
people.
Malta, I think.
I'm still beefing you people.
Come
Because I
and
was supposed to, the one in 2024, I was supposed to be on that trip. That was when God said, pack your bag and leave UK.
exactly.
I'm like, God, why?
And it's interesting that we've been trying to do another thing. Sorry, before I go back to the retreats, one thing that I'm taking away from the stories you've shared is that when we're trying to do things in our own power, sometimes it takes, and then when God gets involved, it's like there's ease and speed. We've been trying to come run retreats in Canada for the past since COVID, since lockdown. But
You
somehow
have no excuse now.
it's not just so be praying for us now that you're in Canada. So we
No, you have no excuse. Just tell us where you want to.
okay. It's still in
We'll
the
get it done.
pipeline. Moshakpa is not here, but we are
Mhm.
so I'm like, Holy Spirit, help us. Whatever is stopping us from entering Canada, please remove it. So anyway, back to yes, I know.
Oh my, oh my, yeah, we're in Canada. Tell them.
We are coming, no, we are coming. So but from the retreats you've attended, I think you've attended have you both attended both March and November retreats? Okay, you so do you want to kind of share some of your experience around that with us?
Sure.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, the March, both retreats are not the same.
Mm,
The March retreat is like a recalibration and just, um, for lack of better words to explain it, it's just anchoring your year in the Lord.
mm,
And then the November retreat is where you say, okay, Lord, we've had an amazing year. What's next?
okay.
And you begin to plan. So
Mm,
they don't have the same vibe.
mm,
So it's way different. But I can tell you for a fact that it's I love the fact that we always get prophetic words in our
yeah.
cards. I still have my cards, the one you gave me, the one you gave my daughter.
Mm.
And even my daughter misses the retreat. She was like,
Oh,
Mommy, when are we going again? I'm like, did you see
like
your mates there?
favor, exactly.
Did you see her mates there? But she really loves them. And she was like, she always talks about the retreat. Even as a child, she always talks about it. Like, mommy, I really like it, you know. And then the fact that we're all women chasing God and trying to live our purpose at the same time.
Mm,
Just hearing from other people, hearing from people like Emilola, from people like for me and the rest, it's always a blessing. You know, it's just a place. I see it as a place to just go and recalibrate
yeah,
myself. After I've done everything I think I need to do, I'm running everywhere. Just it's like a reset. That's the word I've been looking for. The
exactly.
retreats have always been like a reset for me.
Amazing, amazing. Okay, we're going to be rounding up soon, but before we do, I personally have two more questions for you. If you have questions in the chat, please put it. So you mentioned that you've gone back to school to study psychology. So tell us about that. Why? What's going on with that? Yeah.
I've always said that when in 2017, when I was asking God that, okay, I want to change my career, and He gave me something, and I didn't know how to get there. When I was in the UK, I tried going back to school, but the fees were not smiling. I'm like, I beg, this time I need money. I'm not going to spend money. And then coming into Canada and like on PR makes it really easy. And the Lord said, go back to school. I'm like, okay, yeah, we can go back to school. Let's do online school, and I can still keep my job. And God said, no. You're going into the four walls of the classroom and you're doing it full time. And so I said, okay, that's fine. I will reduce my work hours and just do my master's. It's 2 years and I'll get out of it. And God says, okay. And then I got into, I, I started seeking admission and like, you don't have prerequisite. You have to start from a bachelor's degree.
Wow.
Like, bachelor's after having a master's.
Mm,
I'm like, God said that's what we're doing. So I
mm,
signed up. In 24 hours, I got admission in one university.
wow.
And the second university, I didn't want to apply to another one. I said I already had admission, but the second university was a more prestigious university. It's the second best in BC. And God said, you have to apply. And they were too bureaucratic. I'm like, I have to do this. I have to. I was like, God, if it's your own things, don't stress. And God said, you have to go through this one. Eventually, after 3 months, they gave me admission,
Mm,
and that's where I'm currently studying. And then when I got in, they were like, "Okay, you can do 3 years since you have a previous bachelor's." And I'm going to be finishing my second year by December. I'm so excited. And then yeah, so I'm still here for a while because I have to do a master's.
mm,
Probably do a PhD. We don't
mm,
know yet.
mm,
So, but psychology because is what God wants me to do.
mm, mm. And why do you think God wants you to do that? Do you know why?
Yeah, I think I do. Even though I might not have full picture
Yeah.
yet,
Mm,
God is leading me to a certain kind of people, especially people in things that has to do with mental health.
mm,
I'm not sure who the audience are yet, but I just know that I have to do something in the mental health space.
mm,
And it's not like being like a doctor or psychiatrist or something, but I just have to. And I believe that all the experiences I've gathered so far would find expression in this new thing, even though I don't have the full picture yet.
mm. Amazing, 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 amazing. And I mean, the with God, the how did they say it? It can only get brighter and brighter and brighter. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Rachel says, love the neuroscience aspect of psychology. Yeah, dealing with the brain and all of those things.
I
So,
thought I did love neuroscience. When I heard biology, I ran. It's not for the faint-hearted.
oh, well, well done. You're nearly done. And I know that God who started you on this path will see you through.
Mm.
Okay. So my final question to you today is, what is your advice to any woman who is on that journey of transition? I know you've already said you have to do it with God, but any other maybe practical advice that you want to share with a woman who's in that season of transition, not quite sure, am I going, am I coming, what's going on? Or I'm like, oh, I don't even quite know what I'm meant to be doing in this season. What would be your advice to such
My
a
advice is first start with God,
mm.
which I think I've
Yeah.
spoken about in every response I give. The second thing is don't go all by yourself. Don't do life by yourself.
Mm. Yeah.
There's that thing that the enemy tells us that you're the only one going through this. In
Mm.
fact, when I got into school, I saw people that were older than me start
Mm.
from bachelors. Yes. So, and it feels like a lot of people that come into Canada or that are coming into, that are immigrants, you have to start from the scratch. So it's not a big deal. I won't be the first, I won't be the last. But don't do it by yourself because
Mm.
the enemy is clear to you. Your
Mhm.
challenges are only yours and they are the worst challenges you can ever face. It's a
Mm.
lie. And that is where community like the Super Working Mom comes into play.
Mm.
Like you have people you can share, okay, this is what I'm going through. Oh, I need it, even if it's just please pray for me.
Yeah.
In all of these that I say I hear God, there are days I don't feel like praying. I'm like, God, I don't understand what you're doing. I don't even want to talk. But I have people that would say, okay, I'm holding you in prayers. People that would just say, I just thought to check on you. You've been on my mind. And they say a word of prayer. Or they even have a random conversation. And the question I've been asking God
Yeah.
or the rants I've been ranting to God is answered in that conversation.
Mm.
The next thing is take risk because really people regret the things they would have done on their deathbed, not the things they did.
Yeah.
So if you don't take risk, you never know.
Yeah.
You just have to take risk.
Mm.
Take risk because sometimes we're waiting for God to tell us to move.
Mm.
Most times God is waiting for you to take the first move.
Sure.
Because if you don't take the first move, He won't tell you what is there.
Yeah.
Another person in the Bible that really scares me is Abraham. God said, leave your father's house and move. He didn't tell him where to
Yeah,
go.
Abraham. So is your husband's name not Abraham? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, and God didn't tell him where to go. I'm like, if imagine God tells you, pack your bag from where you are now and go. I'm like, go where?
Well,
God, I will bind that spirit. But Abraham left. So sometimes God is waiting on us to take risk and just move forward. As long as you are a child of God, you have a spirit. Sometimes God is not talking like talking, but
mm.
He's putting some desires within you.
Yeah.
And as long as you've checked within yourself, they are not selfish desires or they are for selfish reasons.
Mm.
Take risk. And if you miss God, He's able to reroute you. So
Amen.
what I would say is make God your anchor. Don't do life alone. Take risk and just keep being a better part of you, a better person. But that community is very important because, and
Mm.
it's not cliche. Community is very important. Like everywhere you go, and sorry I have to say this, even people in out there, there is a community.
Yeah.
in LGBTQ space, their community is huge.
Mm.
They support one another. So
Mm.
community, you can't just, and God, that's why God created family in the first place.
Yeah.
He understands the power of community.
Mm.
And when you now have people that are striving at the same thing, you have literally almost the same goal, being the better version of ourselves, pursuing purpose and our calling. Plug yourself in.
Yeah. Totally. And we are all about communities. One thing I always say about Super Hockey Mom is the investment in Super Hockey Mom, the community alone is worth the investment. Just having a group of women who will cheer you on, who will support you and be with you, right? Through whatever you may be going through. It's so important.
Mhm.
No woman, no man is an island. So plug into a community. Plug into a community. We have Super Hockey Mom that you can plug into, but that's not the only. There are other communities. Plug into a community of women, or it doesn't just have to be women. Plug into a community where you are aligned, values, vision, you're going in the same direction. So yeah, that's such a key one. I love people are putting Lachelle says confidence and blessings on the other side of divine risk taking is thank you for sharing, for pouring out and just blessing us. Are there any final words you want to say before we wrap up?
Final words. I just want to say, Desola, thank